Well, good afternoon, friends. Welcome back to Unbreakable Enterprises. And today I am real excited to bring to you a new friend that I recently found here in the Austin area. But it's so coincidental. Earlier this week, I had a reflection on something that we're going to dig into today, totally about becoming unbreakable by crushing limitations and stepping into your power and your purpose. And wow, this conversation is going to give you some insight on how to prepare for that in your own life. And my new friend Klaudia over here with me has a beautiful story in how she empowers women to get comfortable being uncomfortable and get comfortable in their own skin. So, Klaudia, it's so nice to have you here with me today. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here.
Awesome. I'm excited to have you. We always start off with giving our guests an opportunity to just say a little bit about who you are, what your business is, and then we're going to jump into a great conversation.
So, my name is Klaudia Pore. I am actually from Hungary. I've been living in Texas for 6, 7 years now, and I coach women, especially women over 35 who are done actually restarting their fitness life every Monday and who wants to level up, who already healthy, but they just don't understand why they can't connect the dots.
Yeah.
And now they either like busy individuals, busy moms, or busy businesswomen who spend the past 1 or 2 decades actually building their business or family life, and now they want to actually step into their own power.
Yeah, that's so good. I appreciate that because I will say I was one of those women. And I wish I would have thought about it closer to 30, 35 years old, but it was 40 when I had my wake up moment and really decided it's time to take back my power, as you say. Well, Klaudia, I know from Hungary here in Austin, Texas. Tell us about that transition of you finding your power and you stabilizing yourself in a new community. I would love to hear a little bit about that.
It's actually a very interesting one. So I left Hungary about 16 years ago. I moved to London to work for Giorgio Armani for a year or two as an international makeup artist. And then I stuck there for 7. And after that, I just had enough of the doom and gloom. And I moved to California where I met my husband. But I was into fitness, and I started to actually compete in London 14 years ago. And so fitness was always part of my life. But when I was in London, one time I visited to Hungary and I hit rock bottom when it was summertime and I overheard 2 guys talking, and they were like, "Oh, she's pretty, but she has cellulite." And that was the rock bottom when body positivity wasn't the thing back then. I was growing up trying to shrink myself and being always the smallest version of myself. And I heard this guy talking about me. So that day, I didn't even wanted to go out to the street. I didn't want to wear shorts. I was just broken. So when I went back to London, I hired a coach and I jumped on my first diet. When I actually started to counting macros, that was 15 years ago now.
Wow.
And my body started to change and I started to compete. My first show actually it didn't go as well as I expected. So I was off from stage, but I never stopped training. And the more and more I perfected what I learned and I always layered my knowledge, I started to coach other women. And because I lived my whole experience now at age 43, going to perimenopause, not to mention now I am a 3 times pro fitness champion. So I actually won 3 pro shows, my last 3 shows. So the past 12, 14 years taught me so much.
Yeah.
So much, persistent, resilient, and how to tap into the best version of myself. And this is what I am giving back and using this knowledge with my clients.
That's beautiful. I hate it when something like that happens. And with the Unbreakable platform, we really call those defining moments, right? Those moments in life that really shift our trajectory, where we can respond or react, right? And it sounds like you responded in such a powerful way because truly you took back your power. You said, I'm going to do something, but not for them, not for their voice, but for me, so that I can be empowered, so I can live the life with the vitality, the health, and the strength that I'm destined for. So I love that. I'm excited about this conversation today because literally 2 days ago, I shared a post on my socials about what bodybuilding taught me about life. And truly, I feel like it taught me so many lessons about committing to yourself and responding to your commitment, giving yourself permission to follow through, being willing to listen to a voice of somebody that's been where you want to go, right? You didn't just go and compete your first time without a coach, you hired a coach. Right. And then you
100%.
now became that coach for others. So, I shared this whole lesson about what I learned, but I would love to hear a little bit from your perspective on what did you learn as you're in there doing things that are new to you, the macros, right? Learning about nutrition, about dieting, about how our bodies work. What were some of the lessons that you learned?
So mine again, it goes back very, very young age. I studied as a chef in Europe. From age 14 to 18. Back then, it was a different schooling system. It was really cool because one day we were cooking and baking instead of school. So that was a school thing. So I had a good understanding already, what I obviously use now to tweaking like yummy recipes even better, but healthier version.
Yeah.
So, but yes, the macro tracking was a new thing. But first thing, I think a first competition is always very different. You have something, but you don't in your mind, but
Sure.
you don't know. It's like everything first, when you do it, you have an idea how it's gonna be, and then you realize
And then
how
you
it's
get up there and you're like,
actually. Yeah.
oh.
Yes, yes. So second time when you go back and like, okay, I have an idea, and the more you do it, the better. Just like with everything, but. My experience was, so I thought I followed everything what my coach actually asked, but I still didn't do well. And I just really try to better myself because I see what they said the feedback was, and I try to implement it. And but during the eight years when I wasn't on stage, I actually experienced a very bad back injury, and they said I can't lift anymore ever.
Oh.
And the interesting thing was, so for 7 months, I didn't touch a bar. I was working with Dr. Stuart McGill, and I learned everything. I did his schooling. He's a big name in the back injury industry and back recovery. And I learned everything. And now I implemented that, and I won my first pro card once when I was able to actually lift again. And I didn't take a no as an answer. So you asked how fitness shaping us or competing. I think it's just to really show you what you are capable of, if your why is coming from the right place. And when I say right place, you can't do it to impress your neighbors. You can't
Sure.
do it to show it to someone. You can do it. It needs to come from inside. And if it comes from inside, you really, really grow in this process. And it's a beautiful process because so many of my clients feel like this is the first thing what they do to yourself. And probably it came to you in your 40s because you were done to some degree with your kids, and you were like ready actually to focus on yourself again instead of just the family, which is of course a priority in a certain age and time, when your children are younger.
Sure. Mine were definitely getting older. We just celebrated one turning 18, and our first grandbaby is 2 years old
Oh my
now. So
God.
that was definitely a transitional time. But really and truly, for me, it was a little bit different. For me, when I came to this place, I had already been doing a lot of personal development work. I had already been working with a life coach, a business coach, and had been working on my mindset and been working on, my belief patterns and all of those things. But I couldn't understand why I was still having brain fog, why I was still, really dealing with insecurities, and why I was still running into walls. And it was when I met a doctor, just like you mentioned, a doctor that truly explained to me how our body and our spiritual health and our mental and emotional health need to be connected. And I think that's, at that point. So fortunately, I was able to do some of that while my youngest was still about 13 or 14 years old. But I think we all come to this place in life at some point. They used to call it a midlife crisis, right? And we're like, okay, I'm done running into walls, or I'm done with the yo yo. And for me, it was that feeling of failure, right? I tried this diet, I tried this diet, I tried this protocol, but I didn't know Theresa Pore, my DNA makeup, what my body needed specifically from a biological place. And so I was running off of somebody else's opinion or somebody else's success instead of my own. And I know that's a big piece for you. So, can you talk to us about how you navigate women through that journey?
So yeah, as you said, I think it's very important. Nowadays, we saw so many people trying to influence in social media, and we used to have an issue not having enough information. Now we have too much information, and I think one of the most confusing thing is people are talking about in absolute,
Sure.
whereas I think I never coached two same people. Things are very similar and the basics are similar. But as you said, your DNA, how your lifestyle, uh, no one's lifestyle the same like yours. Your food allergies, what you like, what you dislike. All of these things are very individual. And when you like to train, do you like to eat before training, after? So this is, I think, what's very different with the system that I built in Lux movement and Lux method. This is 16 weeks like protocol. What's been proved worked with age 35 up to 82. 82 is
Wow.
82 and a half, she said, my oldest
Wow.
client. And she actually built muscle and her bone density, as you mentioned, the testing is, data is king. And it's just incredible what you can achieve. But I think, yes, it's very important to understand where your why coming from, because if you are not in line, if you're doing somebody's program, you're never gonna get there because you have an idea what that person. But if at 22 years old, then it's nothing wrong with someone 22. We were 22 like yesterday.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they don't live in your body.
Right.
So when you have like let's say perimenopause, what I am going through now, you can decide if you do HRT or don't. But no one understands how your hormone or your brain or how you experience brain fog unless if that coach is living it, and unless if you have the data. So what I like to do, I like to take biofeedback from my clients. So daily biofeedback, how they feel, because I think one of the most important thing what we underestimate, how you, Teresa, feel daily basis.
Right.
Do you feel good when I create a meal plan for you? Do you feel good about it or not? And if you don't, then we need to make changes. There is nothing worse when you need to do somebody's diet. I
And you
used to
hate
think,
it. Yeah.
I used to think, so we talked about before, I don't eat fish, and I hired a really really good coach after my first show, and he put salmon in my diet plan, and I really tried to eat it. But one time I threw up when I was FaceTiming with my mom on a FaceTime because I was so disgusted. You shouldn't do that.
Right.
There is no you should do this. Your body telling you, and so many times, be it the back pain or I went to a double mastectomy. All of these things, I believe, when your body or has an allergic reaction, that's your body, you should be grateful your body is signaling, hey, you're going to a wrong direction, pull back. Right. And readjust. And I think this is where people are missing the point. Even coaches, they're not listening to their clients because they just want to scale up. Sure. And I think this is where I really wanted to build something what is based on the individual, and that's why I think it's different. And also the big difference actually is the mindset with Lux movement, because the mindset is it's super important to work on yourself. Right. Because if you don't feel like you're doing this for the right reason, or your mindset is not there, you won't be able to achieve it. But on the other hand, right. If you're focusing what you need to do, so I don't let everybody compete. If they, for example, going through a divorce or something, sure. I really ask them to think twice, because only so much energy what you have, what you can focus on.
Sure, absolutely. And there's one of our coaches on our team talks about that all the time, is where is your energy going? It's either here or there. And with with what you're saying. You're absolutely right. Mindset plays such a critical role because it's about our belief system. One of the beliefs that I carried that I really wanted to push through with my training when I was working with my coach, my fitness coach, was that I had this belief that I carried for a long time that I didn't finish what I started, right? That I could have strong momentum because one of my gifts is an activator, and I can create movements, which we've done an amazing job. I can build businesses, but I had this belief somewhere in me that I fizzled out before things were done, and I'd carried that belief for a long time. And what that competition allowed me to do truly was to squash that belief and say, no, I absolutely finish what I start, and I don't have to finish with perfection. And that's, I think, a big key that I had to do. So it was a lot of mindset and beliefs, right? Those beliefs so many times become either the thing that pulls us forward or the barrier that keeps us stuck.
Absolutely. It's very interesting what you said because I think it's a great approach, but I came from the other end of the spectrum. So I actually carried loads of like childhood trauma coming
Mm.
from Eastern Europe. I always tried to be perfect. I was a really good kid, but because I didn't get the attention from my parents, my mom was busy and my dad was trying to find happiness every places. And I felt like I never got the attention. And the only way how I was able to get attention if I did well. So I became a high achiever, overachiever, perfectionist,
Mm.
which is threw me to the first competition where I didn't do well. So what I got again, I got rejection wounds,
Sure.
and then took me 8 years until I step on stage again, going through the big injuries. What actually I'm very, very grateful for because I became a better coach and now I am helping women. But this is one of the actually the main aspect what I focus on with my clients is I work with a lot of like high achievers,
Mhm.
a lot of like physicians or like high performers who are actually stressing over and they're perfectionists, and actually tell them you don't need to be 100% all the time, because guess what? What's this mindset creates? It creates a black and white mindset. What actually is being studied, if there is two women who one is always 100%, the other one is 85%, and she just wants to better herself 1% a day, which one do you think has a better outcome?
Oh, for sure. The second.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because the first one who is always perfect, the minute when life happens, and it happens, it happens all the time, they can't adhere to the 100%. Their brain switches and
Mhm.
they think like, if I can't be perfect, why would I try at all? Whereas the other one, I just want to be 1%. I used to be someone who blew my diet on the vacation. Now I just want to be someone who actually just do good and not
Right.
going crazy.
Right.
And this is, I think, one of the things what I really really learned and I implement with these women. And like one of the best thing, I just actually spoke to my one of my client, and she's a doctor, and she was telling me she never had rice when her grandmother cooked, and
Mm.
now her grandmother had a heart procedure, and the grandmother was blown away because she was asking for rice. We're talking
Mm.
about a 46 years old woman,
Mhm.
and now she has the freedom, and she knows she doesn't need to restart on Monday.
Let's talk
And this
about
is
that.
system.
I really like that because similarly have a grandmother who lives with us who's 85, going to be 85 this year. And recently, my kids asked her to make her biscuits and gravy. And let me just tell you, grandmother's Southern biscuits and gravy are one of those things. It's decadent. It's all the things that you think of. And for a long time, I literally was like, no, I can't eat that. I cannot eat that. I don't want to eat it. It's got dairy, like all the reasons. But I knew that my soul sometimes wanted biscuits and gravy, And so one day, my oldest Parker said, Grandma, would you make Nana? Would you make biscuits and gravy? And she asked me, she knew I was going to say no. She knew I was going to say no, but something in me said yes. Something in me said, what if this was the last opportunity?
100%. I know exactly where you're coming from. And I think we are similar. We never talked about this kind of similar age, and we grew up. Um, you need to, as I mentioned earlier, you need to shrink yourself, and you have this idea every single time when you lift a piece of anything to your mouth. How is this going to impact my body? Am I going to put on weight? And we determine our mood in the morning, what the scale shows. If the scale goes down, you are in a good mood. If you're in a fragile mood, you're going to be in a bad mood because what the scale shows. And this is what I really actually focus on. So my clients are weighing in daily, not because I am the food police or a weight police. It's because I'm teaching them it's a normal thing. We're also tracking cycles, of course, and it's a normal thing. Your hormone, your body weight is fluctuating, and you have to understand one thing. One meal is not going to impact your weight. What's going to impact your weight is you let it go a week, 2 days, a day, and then a weekend and a week. And then you restrict yourself because what you hear, you need to move more, you need to do more cardio, and you need to eat less. It's working. You're going to be able to lose probably actually muscle a lot very fast. But it works until it doesn't. And it's two things going to happen. You either hit plateau and you have to move even more and eat even less. But most of us cut our calories to 1200 calories. Where are you going to go when your brain needs 800 calories to function? So you know what's going to happen? You're not going to be able to maintain it, or you go on vacation and you blow it and you gain more weight. And what you're going to do? You're going to feel bad again. And then you are going to just keep repeating the same cycle. And this is the reason, because you can be even skinny, but you are not happy how firm on toned you are because you're not doing it in the right way. Instead, what you need to do is actually eat adequate amount of food, protein, the right amount, not be consistent with it, and be consistent with your weight training, because weight training what's going to actually build you that tone physique. Because what is tone physique? Tone physique is a muscled physique with less fat on it. So next time, it's a yes for your gravy.
Yes. Oh,
And
100%.
biscuit.
Yes. But not every day. And grandma's at a
No,
point where
no.
she's not having it every day either. But I want you to talk about something, because this is something that I really enjoyed learning. Because, I've got so many friends, they're like, I could never do that. And for the longest time, I really, truly didn't think that I would enjoy the restrictions. But then I had a mindset shift. A mind shift is what we call it with UnBreakable. But I had this mind shift where I'm like, this is fun. Like, to be able to see how you can control, right? When before I started working with a trainer and my doctor, I felt like I was not in control of my body. Like, and truly I didn't have the knowledge, so I didn't have the power, so therefore I couldn't control the outcome. I could control by, not eating, which is not a thing because I actually really enjoy food and we need it.
Everybody does that,
Yeah.
right? Just eat less and move more. They told you. This is what they
Yes.
always telling you, right?
But when I started learning, and I would love for you to talk about, because this is the exciting piece, right? When you get to actually get creative and you get to know, okay, based on my body, like, I actually need a certain amount of protein and I actually need a certain amount of carbohydrates, and my body actually feels really good when I eat Mediterranean style food. But talk to us about, like, some experiences maybe you've had as you've either experienced this yourself or you've helped your clients get excited about it.
So first thing, when clients comes to me, they are like, "Oh my god!" Like first, there is no right time to commit to coaching. There's never gonna be a right time.
Yeah.
So the best time is always now. But they come to me, and usually we start with a meal plan. I used to be someone, so I changed my mind. I used to be someone like, you have to count macros. But what a client wants? Client wants quick result,
Right.
and they wanna improve and make them keep the momentum going. Usually we start with a meal plan, and when they love the meal plan, what happens is in 3 days your metabolism gets better, you sleep better, you become regular in the bathroom, and you are less bloated, so you're already winning and you are 1 week in. And then what starts happening, usually I'm pretty good at dialing in things. So you start losing weight, but they are blown away because they just can't understand how I eat more and I am losing weight. Or maybe you don't lose weight. Not everybody lose weight, but you lose inches.
Sure.
Because we need to understand scale is one like equipment and tool in the toolbox. The second one is visual photos, and we also take girth measurements. So the reason, because it's hard to stomach understand women what's happening, is because you think if you eat more you're gonna gain weight. But the problem is how women do it. They don't do it in the right way. They think, oh, I'm going to a bulking season. First of all, you don't need to eat more than your maintenance calories. Maintenance, when you don't gain or lose, you remain the same. Maintenance calories, you need only eat 5 to 10%, unless if you're a newbie, because then you can actually lose weight and change your body composition. But usually women don't understand how I eat more and lose weight, because when you keep going through these cycles, what we talked about before, restriction cycles, first of all, you restrict yourself too much. When you restrict yourself too much, your body, we're no longer running from lions, but your body released the same chemicals like back in the days. So when you stress, that's why cortisol is a big topic now. Not exactly how it's in social media, but
Sure.
it does have effect on you. So if you are a nervous wreck all the time because you are a CEO or a business owner, and you need to actually focus on the basics. So you need to have adequate amount of protein, adequate amount of calories according to your needs. Do you need to gain weight? Do you need to lose weight? According to that, we need to set up the calories. You need to focus on the basics such as sleep, your circadian clock. Very, very important. Why? Because guess what? Going to 5 times to the gym, 6, even 7, not going to give you better result than someone who goes, let's say, 4 times. You are happy as like happy as you saw yourself, you relaxed, you recover, you are a good person to your kids and your husband, and you just overall a happy person. Guess what? Happiness and the right amount of training, the right effective dose, going to give you more. But women afraid to see the scale goes up, and sometimes if someone has some metabolic issues, takes a lot longer to dialing it in. So you need to make a decision and prioritizing your health. And the best example, I just started HRT, and we introduced estrogen and progesterone in the same time. I didn't like how snappy I was. I didn't like how just I didn't feeling myself like just aggravated from everything. And I'm like a pretty happy person normally. So I committed to this. I want to feel better. Guess what? I start my HRT. I already using testosterone for like a year, and my weight gone up 3 pounds. I was stepping on the scale and I was like, what did just happen? What did I just do? And guess what? I stepped back and I was like, okay, what's my goal? My goal is to be a better person. So I decided to take HRT. Okay, what's going to happen when you introduce the two hormones together? You're going to gain water weight, possibly. And I was like, okay, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Step back. Today I woke up 3 pounds lighter.
What an empowering story. You think about, because we have these ideas in our mind without the support, right? When we don't have other people's ability, like I said, somebody that's been where we want to go, that has that voice, that knows what the outcome looks like. I mean, if you didn't know that by introducing those two hormones or into your body that you were going to have this kind of response, your mindset could have gone in a very different place, right? It could have absolutely taken you. And so many people don't, number one, they don't have the mindset work that you have. And number two, they don't have the knowledge that you have. And so then we just were like, okay, well, that didn't work. So let me jump to this thing. And still no knowledge, no access, no support. That didn't work. So let me jump to this thing. And that can be a recipe for not only just total feeling of failure on ourselves, but it can be creating serious chaos in our bodies.
But this is what happens with the diets too. How many times women try the latest greatest diet, I was coaching someone. It was a boy, but the mother was the reason because I coached the boy. He was afraid. He was on GRP, and he was afraid of needles.
Mm.
So he took an oral GRP, but the mother was on the injectable one. And the boy, I asked them because I don't think a 16-year-old boy should take GRP. He was 200 pounds, and he started to lose weight with the diet. And I got a criticism.
Mm.
Why is the diet plan is so high on carbohydrate? Now, bear in mind, this is a 200 pounds boy who had about 160 to 80 grams of protein, 220 grams of carbohydrate,
Wow.
and about 50 grams of fat. I don't know top of my head, but this is around like 2,200 calories. So we wanted the quick result. First, the boy couldn't even eat the food. And then, so, and it's the criticism, I got the criticism, but the mother doesn't understand. When you do a diet, you want to keep your protein high and consistent. So it's
Right.
continuously coming in when you're losing weight. And what we manipulate carbohydrate
And
and
fat.
fat, but you can't cut fat super low because certain amount of fat you need to have a proper brain function. As I mentioned, he was 16. He was in school, obviously, and he had exam. So yes, lack of knowledge, so much knowledge, but you think what's missing is more discipline. It's a new diet, it's the latest exercise, but what's really missing is actually sticking to the plan. What I did with my HRT, what you did during your competition prep. The reason because you were successful is not because it was magic, it
Mm.
was because you are sticking to it long enough
Right.
to let it work. But what happens is when you have an idea, hey, I should do this, so you do that, but you cutting your calories too low, you can't adhere to it. What you see is you can't adhere to it, so you gain back the weight. So what you see in the whole picture, it didn't work for me. It's not what happened. You were just not patient.
Mm-hmm.
But it would have worked if you actually go a little bit less aggressive, because as a competitor, I can go aggressive. I know what my body can take because I did it several times.
Right.
But normally, without help, it's very confusing.
Yeah.
But
Well, in confusion, number one, a confused mind usually does nothing, right? We'll end up stepping back or we'll get so discouraged. And that can lead to depression and all kinds of things, which then become part of the vicious cycle of the weight gain and all of that,
100%.
right? Yeah, I appreciate you kind of walking through that. I think that you're helping so many people just understand that there's so much more to body composition. It's so interesting. I have a fake plant in here, mainly because I like it, but also because I can't keep real plants alive. Um, but plants are such delicate things, right? And we look at them, we know they require a certain amount of sunlight, a certain amount of water, a certain amount of nutrients. And when we take care of that and we pay attention to it, a plant can thrive in any environment. And I think that's the same thing with us as humans. And if we learn about what our specific need is, I'm not going to give this plant the same thing as the one behind you. It's something different. It needs a different composition of nutrients, right? Uh, and we don't think about that for our bodies, but we'll think about it for our vehicles. Could you imagine putting diesel in your Tesla? I mean, you wouldn't do it. Number one,
Yeah.
there's nowhere to put it. But you couldn't do it. But yet we do that to our bodies all the time. And we just don't know.
I think most of the time people think the solution is adding more things in, whereas actually having less and simplifying, because you think you need like you see a line on your face and you go to Sephora and you buy a 10-step skincare routine,
Mm.
or adding the peptides. I see this on social media, like very young people showing peptides. While you have the protein in your body, you have that peptides in your body.
Right.
But if you add the peptides, for example, uh, to an unoptimized system, the peptides, most of them, no, not all of them, most of the peptides are acting upon your own mitochondria level. If your mitochondria is not working properly, if you're not creating more ATP, which is our energy cells, then you are building a house without a proper base. So uh, you think you need I don't know, a keto muffin, but you really what you need is go to bed in the same time, not scrolling on Instagram for half hour, but I would prefer an hour prior to bed.
Right.
Wake up in the morning. First thing, unfortunately, I wake up very early, 4 5. So I am blasting a daylight mimicking lamp because we are not that fortunate. We don't have sunlight in Texas. So daylight mimicking lamp into my face to have that, wake up effect. And then we talked about I have water first thing, and then half hour, 1 hour upon waking, I have my high protein meal with my fibers, everything in it, in the meal, not extra added stuff, not magic stuff. And then I have my coffee, and I start my day 99% of the time the same way, because what it does, what you see is, oh, I'm gonna fast until noon and I'm just gonna have coffee. But then your cortisol, your blood sugar is so volatile, you can't make good decisions. So I am setting up myself. I know I need my brain coming here. So I know I don't have issues because I'm not hungry.
Right.
Because, but many of us doesn't think with you think if you eat less, it's gonna be better. Whereas in reality, our body is thriving on consistency and predictability.
Mm. As it should. That's what we expect everything else to thrive on,
Right?
right? That's what we
So,
expect from those around us.
and our body is no difference.
Yeah.
So
Wow. That's amazing. I love that you've chosen to not only embrace that for yourself, to help yourself become the best version of you that you can, but now you empower so many people to understand these things, to get out of the chaos, to get out of the confusion, and to really take back their power and their health. So I would love to know what gets you excited every morning when you're thinking about how you're going to help people today.
that's definitely when I see my clients succeeding. I don't have children. I have 4 children, but I can't tell you how amazing between us women here. How amazing when my client. I have long time clients, so I have clients with me 4 or 5 years now.
Wow.
My client retention rate is really really high, and she told me, I seen her losing 20 pounds. She's 5'2". I seen her getting married, and she messaged me one time and she said she bought herself a G-string,
Oh.
like first time in her life a
Mm.
woman felt comfortable. Or a 70-year-old UT former professor who I made cry, um, not by choice, but this is what happened. And she lost 20 pounds and she's in the best shape in her life. And I asked how her husband um, complimented her, and she said, we had sex.
Oh.
So those things, like I can't tell you, I can't measure it with money, I can't measure it with fame, I can't measure it with anything. It's
Mm.
just something what only me and her and now everybody else knows. but
That's fulfillment.
it's amazing. And then on the other hand, I have an amazing husband who I'm very very grateful for. And my animals, I have 2 huskies and a cat. Her name is Dolly, and
Mm.
Lucky and Faith.
Mm.
So my love family, what makes me super happy, and just being able to wake up in the morning and be as rich as I don't have to touch my phone the first half hour when I wake up, and I feel like I'm the most fragile in the morning. We are the most
Sure.
receptive upon waking, and I can just spend, thinking what I'm gonna do and how I'm gonna hopefully change lives.
Well, you are. I know
I
it.
hope so.
I can see it. And, you talked earlier about understanding your why. And I mean, that's profound, right? And we have our whys for why we choose to get healthy. And maybe somebody, has been watching somebody that they deeply love and care about going through a health struggle. Or maybe there's somebody out here that maybe just, I can't imagine being the parent that has a son that you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know what else to do besides tried to manipulate proteins in their body with the medication, which, you know, they don't know. Like, and so we get desperate and we think, what else can we do? How can we serve? How can we help? Right. And so you're able to bring such amazing clarity and give them peace with their decisions. You know, and as you said, whether people are taking medication or they're doing things, you know, it's what's right for them. But now they have the tools and the empowerment by working with you to really understand what truly is right for them.
I think it's very individual, and it's also, I think with the GRPs, I think so many people can change their life. I used to be someone who wasn't as a fan of it, but now I think if you make a life changing decision, if you change your lifestyle, and I've seen so many success stories with my clients, for my
Yeah.
clients, and this is amazing. But yes, it's very very individualized, and I feel like sometimes it's difficult because you have this good faith. You go to a telehealth place, and they don't really equip you
Right.
with how you actually can change your life, because you can change your life because let's be honest, being just a skinnier version of yourself, it doesn't mean you are healthier.
No.
But if you have muscle, you can have an extra padding and you're still gonna be healthier.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you know, we're in the world right now with longevity being the huge topic of discussion. And I am all about let's get our bodies in shape, let's get our minds in a shape so that we can live longer. But we want to be healthy longer. I was having a conversation with my team earlier today about a family member who passed not too long ago that wanted to live forever, wanted to be a bionic, you know,
Yeah.
man. And I really thought about this person's life, and it wouldn't have been a thriving life. It would have been a sustained life, right? And when I think about the work that you do, while it does take discipline and a decision to move forward, to switch something up, it provides that opportunity for a sustained, healthy life and not just a survival.
I think, yeah, 100%. I think one of the biggest problem, people want to change, but sometimes they, when they hear what it takes, they don't want to do what it takes. But if, like, again, I think so many people losing weight but they can't keep it off. I believe the reason being for that, and it's not me, it's neuroscience, I'm not that smart, um, is because you don't believe
Mhm.
you are the new version of yourself. You're still hanging out with the same people who has those habits with drinking. Let's say you don't want to drink anymore, and you okay, quit. But everybody who you hang out with, they wanna drink, or you wanna go to the gym, but they don't wanna go. Like, you have to make a decision,
Mhm.
and trust me, you're gonna gain new friends.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
think change is hard in every level. It's always hard. It's scary.
Right.
But this is when I think coaching comes in. Your coach is becoming one of your best friend. Usually, coaches know more than more about their clients, their spouse. To be honest,
Mhm.
it's a very important relationship, and I think one of the biggest compliment what I got is actually I walk the talk,
Mm.
and usually we link our Apple watches together, and
Aw.
when they see I did my steps and workout, it's really inspiring them. So it's just, I think smart people are sticking to the ones who actually do what they how they want to be,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be easier that way. Change never easy, but it gets easier when
Mm.
it's becoming your part of your life, and it's
Abs-
worth it. Waking up in the morning and feeling good, or imagine you get invited to a pool party or a vacation, and you don't have to worry if you're gonna fit into the bikini or how you're gonna look in a bikini. You are actually just opening your wardrobe or
mm.
your drawer, you put on the bikini, and you are like, I am ready to rock. And
Yeah.
that's those things you can't buy on money or anything. That feeling when you don't have to have a heart attack every single time, that's amazing. I think.
Absolutely. And, you know, you think back to the comment earlier about resource allocation, like where's our energy going? this is one thing that we can be stewards of, that we can check off and move on and just know that that's taken care of itself. We've got that predictability. We understand what's expected. We're creating those habits. And then we can move on to the next area of life that may need some support, right? Maybe it's our financial area of life. Maybe it's our marriage. Maybe, we want to work on improving relationships that we carry, whether with our spouse or partners or children, right? So that we don't have to, that this area of life that seems like such a challenge, such an unknown, doesn't have to be the source that blocks all the rest of this from growing and thriving, right? So it becomes that holistic, healthy living, and you can have the wins and the success here that you can propel elsewhere.
100%. And what you said is it's super important. I think you pointed out a great point. You shouldn't do everything in the same time. So that's another thing where people, I think, failing is because you haven't done anything. You gained 20 pounds the past 2 years, and today you make a decision, and tomorrow you bought your gym membership, you bought all the magic stuff, you bought the protein, the creatine, everything. You're ready to rock, and you're gonna go to 6 times to the gym. And the problem is you can't change from 0 to 100% or 200%. Try to make like small things. And as you said, try to implement, instead of 5 times, do like, let's say 2 times with a trainer, 1 time go by yourself. That's 3 times. Try to hit a decent amount of step target, which is like you can measure it with your iPhone, keep it in your pocket. Start with small. If you don't have the money, start walking, park further away from HEB. Like take the stairs, and it sucks in the beginning, I'm telling you. Or change your soda to diet soda. Do small things. And as you said, it's gonna trickle into, and then so it's, as I said, it's neuroscience. Your brain needs to see you are actually can succeed. It needs little proofs. One, you can have little proofs, your brain believes it, so it's becoming your habit, and then you can bear to the next one.
So good. And I think, that leads into why your program is 16 weeks. We live in this microwave mentality, right? Where we're like, I want it now. I remember, I don't know, we were talking about movies earlier. We were talking about a princess movie, but one of my favorite movies to reference is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and the girl with the golden goose. And she's like, don't care how, I want it now, right? She's like, I don't care what you have to do, just give it to me now. And I feel like we are in that mentality as a culture, as a society, and good things, lasting change takes time. It takes building disciplines, building habits, saying yes, winning, as you said, getting that evidence stack in your mind that says, yes, I can do this. Yes, I can complete what I started. Right. And then we're shifting. So let's say somebody's like, oh my gosh, I love everything that Klaudia is saying today. How can they connect with you? And what does that journey kind of look like from start to finish?
So the way how they connect, either social media, or maybe we can link the application form.
Sure. Absolutely.
Reach out to me. And the way, so we hop on a call. It's very important to find the right coach, and I might not be the right coach for everybody, because I do believe you need to work for your goals. And as you said, things what comes easy, usually the easy comes, easy goes,
Right.
And none of my clients says it's easy, but all of my clients says it's worth it. So usually if we the right fit, there is a couple of days I create a personalized program. So they go through an intense and long questionnaire where I have all the information. I build out a program, nutrition according to their needs, what they want. There are different options, so it's not the same for everybody. And we start working together. So usually we're talking about online here. So I do the coaching throughout my online app. They have check-ins, what we talked about earlier. So every other week they checking in with their photos, with their weight and girth measurements. I prefer my client to actually checking in with the weight daily, so they can we can track it. It's one side is accountability, And the other side is we know what's going on. So, for example, a perimenopausal woman who has still cycles, highly dependent where they are in a cycle, how their body weight looks like. Before ovulation, it's higher normally. Before the period, is higher. So, if we track the data, we know where they are at. So we're working closely together, and a lot of like they're going through some educational material throughout the app on their own time, and we're building these long-lasting habits throughout the 16 weeks.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Well, I'm sure that we will have some listeners that are going to want to connect with you because today's conversation was just so powerful. And I appreciate, it's one of those things we look back at defining moments in our life and we're like, man, that hurt. Like when somebody said that, when I overheard those two men saying that, man, she's okay, but she's got cellulite or whatever they said,
Yeah.
right? We're like, that hurt. But thank God for that moment because it's that moment that made me say, something's going to change, right? And we all have those.
All of us. As I told you, like the worst part was my back injury, and it's made me a better coach because I did so many biomechanics course. So now I coach women people sending me like actually check-in videos through the app. So I reviewed them and I give them cues, how they need to improve. So I wouldn't be able to do this if I don't have the knowledge.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. Knowledge is power and experience is the best lesson.
Exactly. That's why, we're living it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Klaudia, I am so excited that we got to meet. I know that our paths crossed for a very important reason. And today it starts with me being able to share your brilliance and your amazing work and your beautiful smile with our community. But who knows where it can go from here. So thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, friends, I know today's discussion is going to light a fire in somebody. And the question is your fire ready to be lit? Are you ready to do just like what Klaudia said? Take back your power when it comes to your health. Get empowered, lock arms with somebody who has been where you want to go and to help you have that life of vitality, longevity, and strength that you deserve. So I hope that you would connect with Klaudia and continue staying connected with our UnBreakable platform. We want to make sure that you have the foundation that you need to keep building your unbreakable life. God bless you. We'll see you next time.